Hey, this is Try English. Every video here helps you speak English more naturally and confidently. So, take a deep breath and let's try English together.
Hi, my name is Maya. I want to tell you a story about coffee. I love coffee. And I love coffee shops. Back home I had a favorite cafe. I went there every day. But now I live in a new city. Here everyone speaks English. And my English is, well, it's not very good. I know some words from my class, but speaking is different. It's fast. So I was scared. I saw so many nice coffee shops here. I wanted to go inside, sit down, and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. But I was too afraid to order. I worried about my pronunciation. I worried about what to say. What if they didn't understand me? Felt like a really big problem. So for 1 week I just walked past the cafes. I looked inside the windows. I saw people laughing and talking. They looked so comfortable. I wanted to be like them. Finally on Friday I told myself, Maya, you have to try. I found a small cafe near my apartment. It looked very friendly. Had big windows and green plants. I stood outside for maybe 10 minutes. I practiced my order in my head. Hello. Can I have a latte, please? Sounded so simple. Just 6 words. I thought, I can do this. It's not so hard. I took a deep breath and I opened the door. It felt like I was breaking the ice with my new life. The inside of the cafe was warm and smelled amazing. It smelled like coffee and sweet pastries. There were a few people in line. I stood behind them and listened. The barista was a young woman with a friendly smile. She said, "Hi, what can I get for you?" to the person in front of me. I listened to his order. He spoke so fast. I didn't understand everything. My heart started beating faster. I felt my hands get a little cold. I kept repeating my simple sentence in my head. Can I have a latte, please? Over and over again. I felt like it was the most important sentence in the world. Then it was my turn. I walked to the counter. The friendly barista looked at me and smiled. She said, "Hello. What can I get for you today?" And you know what happened? My mind went blank. All the words just disappeared. I forgot my simple sentence. I just stood there for a second. Felt like a very long second. I looked at the menu board behind her. It had so many words. I pointed to a picture of a coffee and said, "This one, please." She was very kind. She said, "A cappuccino." "Sure thing." "What size?" I didn't know the word for size. I just made a small shape with my hands. It was so embarrassing. But then, a few minutes later, I had my coffee. It wasn't the latte I wanted, but it was a start. So, after that first day with my cappuccino, I didn't go back to the cafe for a few days. I needed to make a plan. My first plan was too simple. I realized I needed more than just one sentence. I needed to understand the whole conversation. So I came up with a new idea. I decided to go back to the daily grind, but not to order coffee right away. My new plan was to be a spy. Coffee spy. I would just sit and listen. I would learn the secret language of the coffee shop. Sounded a little silly, but I felt it was a good idea. I wanted to learn how real people talk, not just the sentences from my textbook. Few days later I went back. This time I felt much calmer. I didn't have the pressure of ordering. I brought a book with me to look busy. I bought a bottle of water from a small store before I went in. This way I didn't have to buy anything at the cafe. I found a nice, quiet table in the corner. It was the perfect spot. I could see the counter clearly, and I could hear everything. I opened my book, but I didn't really read it. I was listening very, very carefully. I watched each person who came in. I listened to what they said to the barista, and what the barista said back to them. I was a detective on a mission. I learned so much in just 1 hour. I noticed that not everyone said, "Can I have?" Some people said, "I'll get a," or "I'll take a." And some people were very short. They just said, "Large black coffee." That was it. I also learned the answer to the size question. I heard people say small, medium, and large. It was much simpler than the Italian words on the menu. I wrote everything down in a small notebook I brought with me. I wrote down the phrases people used. "I'll have a medium latte." "Can I get a large Americano to go?" "Just a small black coffee for me, please." It was like discovering a secret code. After about an hour of listening, I started to feel much more confident. The process was not a mystery anymore. I could see the pattern. First you say hello. Then you say what drink you want and what size. Then the barista might ask, "For here or to go?" Or "Anything else for you?" And then you pay. It was a simple dance with just a few steps. I felt like I finally understood the music. I decided to try a very small order myself before I left. I went to the counter during a quiet moment. The same friendly barista was there. I smiled and said, "Can I get 1 chocolate cookie, please?" She smiled back and said, "Of course." It was a tiny victory, but it felt like a piece of cake. It was a huge success for me. So the next day I went back to the daily grind. This was it. This was the big day. I didn't bring a book this time. I didn't buy a bottle of water. I walked in with one mission: to order a medium latte for here. I had my script memorized from my notebook. I felt prepared. I still had some butterflies in my stomach, but they were excited butterflies, not scared ones. The cafe was a little busy, but that was okay. I felt ready for it. I got in line and waited for my turn, just like everyone else. I didn't feel like an outsider anymore. I felt like I was part of the morning coffee ritual. When it was my turn, I walked up to the counter. Chloe, the friendly barista, was there. She smiled and said her usual, "Hi there. What can I get for you?" This time I didn't panic. I didn't forget my words. I smiled back at her. I took a small breath and I said, "Hi, can I get a medium latte, please?" The words came out perfectly. They were clear and confident. Felt so good to say them. Chloe smiled and started making the drink. She asked, "And will that be for here or to go?" I was ready. I replied, "For here, please." She then asked, "Anything else for you today?" And I said, "No, that's all for me. Thanks." It was perfect. It was a normal, simple, everyday conversation. But for me it was a huge achievement. I paid for my coffee and waited at the end of the counter. A few minutes later, Chloe called out, "Medium latte for Maya." She had asked for my name when I paid, and I told her. Hearing my name in the cafe felt amazing. She handed me the cup. It had beautiful art in the foam, a leaf this time. I looked at her and said, "Thank you so much. Have a great day." And she said, "You too." I took my latte and found my favorite table by the window. I sat down and took the first sip. It was delicious. It was the best latte I had ever had in my life. That day, I learned a very important lesson. The latte was great, but the feeling of accomplishment was even better. I realized that practice makes perfect. It's true. I was so scared at the beginning, but I didn't give up. I made a plan, I practiced, and I tried again. And I succeeded. That small victory in the coffee shop gave me confidence to try other things. To talk to my neighbors, to ask for directions, to speak up in my English class. It all started with wanting a cup of coffee. Now I go to the daily grind almost every day. Chloe knows my name and my order. Sometimes we have a little chat. Finally feel like a local. And it all started with that one nervous, embarrassing, wonderful first try.
Great job today! Every time you try English, you get better and better. Keep going, keep smiling calm, and I'll see you in the next lesson.